First of all, I guess the place I'll begin is in your book. You were very open that you're an introvert and that it's scary as hell for you to share your feelings and emotions out loud as opposed to in writing. So thank you for doing this, especially given that context.
Yeah, it's funny, being a public relations professional for 15 years now. I always hated talking to media or doing interviews, but gotten really comfortable over the last 10 to 12 months.
I guess with all of the success you've been having with the book lately, you have kind of had to come out of your shell and speak to national media, and we'll get into all of that. But I can really relate that I'm in a position that requires you to be an extrovert and to be very good at it. And I think I've gotten very good at doing it. And people are always surprised to hear me say that I'm really an introvert and I like nothing more than at the end of a day, especially after interacting with people, going into a dark bedroom and closing the door and reading a book
Hmm.
and being left alone for a couple of hours.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
I can relate on so many levels.
yeah. So 2017, you decide to start writing these daily notes to your
Hmm.
daughter, Addie, when she was entering fourth grade. Maybe we could just start there with what your own motivators were. What made you decide at that moment to start writing these daily notes?
Sure. So, looking back at August of 2017, Addison was starting fourth grade, and down here, that's middle school here in Louisiana in our school district. It just so happened to be her fourth school in 5 years. So, prior to moving back to Louisiana in 2016, we spent 2 years in Atlanta and then 2 years in Miami before that. Wasn't the way we drew it out. But when she started middle school, obviously middle school is hard for any kid, but especially young girls, just noticed some anxiousness. She wasn't as energetic as she was in third grade. And on the third day of school, it was a Monday, so it was August 14th, 2017. I was making her lunch, and I just thought, well, maybe I'll just scribble a note. And I scribbled a message on it. Didn't think anything of it, but it was my way to let her know that, hey, Dad's here. You may sit by yourself at lunch, but if you read it, it's like I'm sitting next to you or enjoying it with you. And really, it was just my way of trying to be a dad again, because it was my fault, really, that we moved so many times. And it was my fault that we moved back to Louisiana. So it was my way of kind of bridging that gap and letting her know that her dad was back and here for her.
How did she react when she saw that first note in her backpack, her lunchbox, wherever you had placed it?
Um, it really wasn't until about the second or third week that I noticed that she was paying attention. It's the story I've told many times, but we were running late one morning and she left a sticky note next to her lunchbox saying, "Don't forget my note for the day." So when I saw that, I realized, okay, she's paying attention. She may not necessarily read or understand everything I'm writing, but she is paying attention.
I have to tell you that while reading your book, I decided, you know what, this is such a lovely tradition. I'm going to try this with our son. So we have two boys. They're
Hmm.
in third and first grade. So I can relate a little bit, especially with the third grader, to how closed off these kids can become at a certain
Yeah.
age. Anyway, so I left a note for our younger boy that day, and I just wrote dear his name. I love you. Have a great day. Love, Dad. And I picked him up from school that day, and on the walk back, he said, I saw your note, Daddy. I said, oh, what did you think? He said, well, I kind of like it and I kind of don't like it. And I said, okay, why don't you like it? And he said, because the other girls are going to think someone has a crush on me. So don't leave them for me anymore. So I was not as successful as you were. And kind of, I was 0 for 1. And I know you say in your book, you know, you give baseball analogies and to keep on swinging the bat. But for now, at least I put the bat down. Maybe I'll try again at some point.
Nah, they just, all they care about is that you're there, and obviously third and fourth and fifth grade kids, hormones, girls, boys, they're afraid that their friends are going to make fun of them because their parents care for them, but ultimately all they care about is that we're there for them.
That was actually something I was curious about what you think Addie reacted to most. Do you think she reacted to the content of the notes or to the very fact that you were leaving notes at all?
That's a good question. I think a mixture of both. Um, in the book, I am very honest that sometimes the notes were more for me than they were for her, because I needed them just as much as she did. So I think in the beginning, it was the fact that I was present and doing them. And I'll admit that there were some that were probably way over the head of a fourth grader. But as I mentioned, they were mostly for me. But I think as the months progressed and her teachers started noticing what I was doing for her and wanting to share it with other students in the class, I think she started paying more and more attention to that content.
Thanks for watching this video clip of the Speak Good podcast. If you'd like to hear the complete episode, please check out your favorite podcast directory and subscribe now. Thanks for watching.